I know the title of this video is a little clickbaity, so I'm going to give you the basic info right up front. I want to stop using palm oil because of deforestation, and I want to use tallow instead. If you'd like to learn why, stick around. Thank you for joining me in another one of my Work With Me videos where I bring you a little bit behind the scenes and show you what I'm doing in the lab when I'm not making soap. Today, we are actually going to be making soap. So for today, we're going to be talking about why I want to stop using palm oil and what I'd like to use instead. I'm going to start this video off by saying I'm not an expert. These are simply my understanding of the things that I've seen and read. And this is also simply my opinion and my choice. I've got notes down here, so if you see me like looking down, it's because I wanted to make sure that I had my thoughts in order before like presenting this, right? I want to start off by saying that palm oil is in every bar of soap I've made so far. I get organic. I just put tape on the outside, but I promise you, I get it from Soaper's Choice. It's RSPO certified organic palm oil. Palm oil is the oil from the fruit of a very specific palm tree. It is the most widely consumed vegetable oil on the planet, according to the World Wildlife Federation. You can find it in tons of things you get at the store. It's in a bunch of stuff. Chips, breads, cosmetics, soaps, toothpaste. It's a very cheap and bountiful oil. The trees that produce this palm oil are evergreen and they produce fruit year-round, which makes it an excellent year-round harvest crop. Many soap makers, including myself, use it as a primary ingredient, right? It's one of my hard oils. My oils that I use in my soap, I use palm, coconut, and shea butter. Those are the hard oils that go into my soaps. My liquid oils, I use olive oil, castor oil, and sweet almond oil. Now here's the problem with palm oil. Palm oil is grown in tropical rainforests. And because it's such a high value, bountiful crop, it's usually the only things that these farms grow. So what they'll do is they'll burn down the native forest to plant these palm trees for their forest. So it's devastating the environment. It's devastating to the native life that lives there. It's not necessary. You don't have to burn down a forest to create palm oil, but they want to clear the land and grow as much as they can. For a long time, there have been moves to make palm oil a more sustainable product. Like you can see on my palm oil, it says that it is RSPO certified. And what that means, the RSPO is the Round Table on Sustainable Palm Oil. And what they've done is they put guidelines in place for farms to be certified, RSPO certified, saying that they agree and that they will adhere to the guidelines put forth to create a more sustainable product and preserve the environment. However, and I'm just going to read this straight off my paper, researchers from the University of Queensland, when researching the effectiveness of the RSPO, have said that there is no significant difference was found between certified and non-certified plantations for any of the sustainability metrics investigated. In fact, the only area where RSPO certification made a positive impact was in higher yields and share prices for certified companies. Our results suggest low confidence in RSPO's mechanisms for improving overall industry sustainability appears warranted in all but very narrow and economically oriented interpretations of sustainability. And I'll link to the article where I found this information. So when I first started making soap, I wanted to make tallow soap. This is rendered fat from cows or sheep. I struggled with this choice because I was concerned that there wouldn't be widespread approval for this kind of product. I mean, who wants meat in their soap, right? I weighed the pros and cons of a tallow soap or a vegan soap, and I decided on a vegan soap because I felt like I would cast a wide net and build a wider audience. Knowing the history of palm oil before I got into soap making, I knew I wanted to make the right choice. I went out of my way to do my research and ensure that I was only buying the highest quality RSPO certified palm oil, and I was really proud of myself for making that decision. But the more I think about it, the less comfortable I think I am with the use of palm oil. The biggest problem that I have is even though I am getting RSPO certified palm oil, there's so much in the news about how this isn't necessarily indicative of a sustainable quality product. And again, 100% my opinion. I want to state right now for the record, if you're a soap maker and you choose to use palm oil in your soaps, go for it. Absolutely. I'm not here to tell you what to do. A lot of my favorite soap makers use palm oil in their products, and I still purchase their soaps. I'm not the palm oil police. I'm simply sharing with you a decision that I wanted to make. So for these reasons, I've decided I'm going to try formulating my recipe using beef tallow, which is what's inside this box. It's already a byproduct of the meat industry, and it's been used for centuries to make soap. I feel like I can control much more the source of where I get my tallow. I can choose to find a local farmer and purchase my tallow directly from the farm. This helps to support local businesses in my area, as well as makes me feel a lot better about the products that I am producing for all of you. Some of the benefits of tallow in soap are very similar to the benefits that you get from palm oil. It's very moisturizing to the skin. It creates a rich, denser, very creamy lather, and it makes soap harder, just like palm oil does. So they're very similar. They're nearly interchangeable when it comes to soap making, so that's what we're going to try today. It's very likely that you have in your lifetime used soap that has tallow in it. There are commercial brands that use tallow in their soap, like Dove, Zest, Irish Spring, Lever, Dial, and Ivory, just to name a few. I mean, look it up if you've used bar soap in your lifetime, or if you currently use commercially produced bar soap. Look on the back. If you see the words sodium tallowate, or if you see tallow or tallowate at all, it's got beef tallow in it. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to take this out of the box. Right now, my tallow is in a bag in a box, and this isn't my favorite way to store my hard oils. As you can see by this, I like to put my oils into a container that I can clean, that I can securely close. So this is 50 pounds of beef tallow. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into a 5-gallon bucket. And then we're going to make a little 1-pound tester batch of soap. We're going to use my exact recipe. All we're gonna do is replace palm with tallow. Everything else about this recipe is gonna be the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this. Looks like that's all that fits into here, so I'm gonna go get another bucket. When I get back, we'll make some soap. The first thing we need to do is make our lye solution. I've already measured out all of the ingredients for this soap. So I'm just going to add my lye to my measured out water, and this just gets stirred up until all of the lye is dissolved. I've got all of my safety gear on for when I'm working with lye. I've got gloves, wearing long sleeves to protect my arms, and you can't see it, but I'm wearing safety goggles. Once all the lye is dissolved, it's time to start including our additives. The first thing I like to add is my kaolin clay. I've got this measured out. This is 1 teaspoon for the amount of soap I'm making. I'm making 1 pound of soap. So 1 teaspoon of kaolin clay. It is a white kaolin clay, so it does make the soap a little bit lighter, and because it's a clay, it is oil absorbing. So it helps with oily skin. Kaolin clay is used a lot in face masks. I've seen people add the kaolin clay to their soft oils or to their oils before adding the lye and fully incorporating it. I don't know why. The very first time I did it, I added it to the lye solution and it worked out really well for me. So that's how I choose to do this. It dissolves very quickly. It absorbs right in. The next thing I'm adding is, it doesn't even look like anything, it's 1 teaspoon of sodium lactate. I'm including sodium lactate. It is a salt. It's a salt made from beets, and what it does is it makes your bar harder and it's easier to unmold, especially when you're using a silicone mold, which is what we're using for today. So I'll pour that right in. To melt, this is all my hard oils. I have in here coconut oil, shea butter, and my beef tallow. And because I'm working in a room and I don't have a microwave, this is how I choose to melt my oils. I take this very hot lye solution. Let's see if it's gotten warmer. Nope, it's cooled down. So I take my lye solution and I add it to the hard oils. And you'll start to notice very, very quickly that the oils will begin to melt. This is called the heat transfer method of melting my hard oils. Looking great. My oils are melted. I can tell you right now, this is looking a lot whiter than my normal soap recipe looks. I'll put up a side-by-side picture with the birthday suit soap that I just made, and you can see how that one looks a bit more yellow at this stage, where this one's much whiter, and that makes sense because the tallow itself is much, much whiter than the palm oil. So the next thing we're going to add is the liquid oils. This is olive oil, sweet almond oil, and castor oil. I will include my recipe in the box below. It will have the percentage usage rate of all of these. I'll also probably pop it up on the screen right here. Now, if you've never made soap before, this is not a complete recipe. You would need to run this through a lye calculator to determine how much lye you would need to use, depending on the amount of soap you are making and depending on the types of oils that you're using. So I'm simply giving you my base oils and at the percentage usage rate that I use. Just gonna give this a quick stir before we... So next I'm gonna use my stick blender, and I wanna point out this is my first time using this stick blender since I drilled these little holes into it. I don't know how you can see it. These holes in the bell. I was having a really hard time with soap, with bubbles in my finished product. So this is also a test of these holes to see if this is going to work out for me. First thing I'm gonna do is what's called burping my stick blender. I'm just tapping it to the bottom of my bowl to force out any air bubbles. And again, I'm hoping those drilled holes will have made a difference. Now I'm just going to stir, and then every once in a while I'll slow down and lightly pulse. I'm at the lowest setting, lightly pulse my stick blender. So I will be bringing this soap to about a medium trace. I won't be adding any fragrance or any color to this. This is simply, I just want to see basically how this recipe does. Oh, I just blended in a ton of bubbles. Done with the blender. Okay, you can see we're at a medium trace when I drizzle. You can see that there's some left on the surface. I'm just going to stir this for a moment, and then we will pour this into our 1 pound mold. The way that looks. So this is my 1 pound mold from Brambleberry. I love to use this mold when I'm testing out new recipes. It makes 4 bars, exactly the size that my standard bars are. So I'm just going to pour the soap right in. A little too runny. We'll try this in a few minutes. I'm going to very quickly texture the soap with a fork. It's not a texture I normally do, so I'll know immediately that this is my tallow soap. I'm happy with that. I'm going to insulate it just like I insulate my other soaps. Just in my wooden soap mold. Let me touch up that texture. I'm going to spray it with 99% rubbing alcohol. This should prevent soda ash. I'll be coming in here a couple of times during the night and tomorrow while I let this soap harden up and reapply the alcohol. This should help prevent soda ash. We will come back in about 24 or 48 hours to unmold and cut the soap. All right, it's been 24 hours since we made the tallow soap. The soap is quite firm. It's a lot harder at this point than my soaps normally are, so we just need to unmold it. There we go. Slides right out of the mold. It's a little soft, but not too bad. It seems to be the perfect time to cut it. So this is my soap cutter. Think of it like a big cheese cutter. So we're just going to line the soap up. The inside of the soap is still soft. So here we go, we've got a lot of these white spots on the inside. I don't know yet if these are air bubbles. Remember when I made the soap, I'm pretty sure I got some air bubbles in it, or if they're steric spots. I don't know, I didn't get any ashing on the top, which is nice. The last time I made a tallow soap, I got a lot of steric spots, and the outside was very, very ashy. Let's just go ahead and cut the rest of this. I'm not going to begin making tallow soaps commercially until I run out of palm oil. So that's the whole point of this. We're gonna do a lot of research. There's gonna be a lot of trial and error. So there we go. So here's a bar of my birthday suit soap. Already we can see that the tallow soap is much, much whiter, and this one's been curing for a few weeks. So this is going to produce an extremely white bar of soap, which is fantastic. I like the color of it a lot. The birthday suit has a beautiful, creamy color to it, but it's not like this vibrant white that we get from the tallow. I'll reserve a bar of the birthday suit soap to compare to the tallow soap once it's done curing, and we'll do a comparison to see how they go. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to research making soap with tallow, find a recipe that works for me and my needs, and I'll be sure to bring you along for that as well. So that's going to do it for me here today. I'd like to thank you for coming along with me today while we did some product research into how beef tallow performs in my cold process soap recipe. Again, I'd like to just quickly reinforce I made this decision based on what I believe the right thing to do is. I don't speak for other soap makers. I'm not saying using palm oil is wrong, and I'm not saying that using beef tallow is right. I'm simply sharing with you what I believe to be the best path forward for me and my business. If you have in the past purchased my soaps and you don't wish to support my move into beef tallow, I completely understand. Let me know. I'll be happy to give you a list of soap makers that I believe make an excellent quality product and choose to use vegan or non-beef tallow based recipes. I also want to point out that beef tallow wasn't the only option. There are other oils that are vegetable based that perform similarly to palm oil. However, like I said earlier in the video, from the very beginning, my gut told me make old-fashioned tallow soap. And that's really the area I wanted to move into. This just seemed like an opportunity for me to go down this path. If you liked what you saw in today's video, please give this a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Every subscription, every like, every comment really helps out my channel, especially because it's a brand new, super tiny channel. And I've only got a couple of videos up, but I'm gonna do my best to keep providing content. If you like this type of video and you want more insight into behind the scenes of my business, let me know. If you have questions, if there's something you want me to make a video about, let me know. I'd love to know what you're curious about. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.